Cabinet to meet tomorrow as teachers officially begin strike. The tough get going. Kakamega children swamp libraries as teachers stay away. Drug shortage hits addicts hard after drug raids begin at the Kenyan coast. And the weak link in cancer war. Kenyatta National Hospital radiotherapy machine breaks down again. Many thanks for joining us. I'm Lindo Guto. Our sign language interpreter is Meresha Owete. Let's begin this bulletin by focusing on that standoff between the government and teachers. The cabinet could make a decision tomorrow on what official message the government should release regarding the teachers' pay standoff and the teachers' strike. A highly placed source inside one of the concerned ministries has told KTN that a meeting at State House will decide the next move after the Teachers Service Commission failed again to get the Supreme Court to suspend the pay increment order. And as KTN's Betty Kello now reports, the Kenya National Union of Teachers has declared an official strike and advised parents to keep their children at home.
Therefore, I hereby, as directed by the National Executive Council, through a vote that has been taken today, in accordance with our Constitution, declare formal commencement of a full nationwide strike. We are telling teachers, don't move near any learning institution.
It is official. Teachers in public schools will not go to work until their demands are met. Today, union officials asked all teachers to abandon their workstations and wait for the implementation of the court ruling.
There comes a time when the teaching profession must be defended. This is the time. There comes a time when teachers must be considered as dignified individuals. This is the time. There comes a time when the teaching profession must be recognized and respected. This is the time. We are not going to relent. We are not going to relent because there comes a time when the courts of this country must enjoy their independence.
The press briefing was tense.
Order. Everybody order.
The officials ready to bite and react to every excuse given not to pay teachers their pay rise. The message was clear. They will not back down until money is in the bank. They did not mince their words.
We shall not move a single inch below and against the award by the court. We are not negotiating the court orders.
The previous strikes, the leadership has been calling upon the members to come out on strike. This particular strike action, the teachers are calling upon the leadership to join them where they are on strike. Will you join them, leaders?
Yes! The union officials, who are in the company of officials from the National Executive Council, said calls for dialogue will not be heard.
Members of Parliament regularly increase their salaries at will. Members of county assemblies are ever milking money from the counties. Parastatal chiefs and other senior government officials. And you know where Kenya Airways is? It has gone down. Mumias and all other institutions. And there is quick money to bail out those institutions, KMC. Don't we have ICE? Where is equity and equality in compensation for public workers?
He faulted the Teachers Service Commission, accusing it of failing to support teachers in their quest as it should. He claims there is massive government interference in the institution that should be independent. They also hit out at the Education Cabinet Secretary, Professor Jacob Kaimenyi, blaming him for the stalemate.
Immediately after the court had awarded the teachers the 50-60, our dear, beloved Deputy President announced that the government was going to pay. And we celebrated. But immediately after the deputy president had been congratulated, and you know when the deputy president speaks, it is the president speaking. The following day, the greatest enemy of the teachers of this country and children, and the greatest enemy of the education and parents and the education sector, the most unwanted cabinet secretary by teachers, Kaimenyi, announced that they were not going to pay. Our question is, between the deputy president and the cabinet secretary, who is the senior?
Unions also made their voice heard, saying that if the government does not implement the pay rise, they will rally workers from other institutions to join the teachers.
Because we are not going to allow the Kenyan teachers, who are very critical in the economic development of this country, to go just the way the government thinks. In the one Kaimenyi just thinks he can do anything he wants to do with the teachers.
What is going on is continuous boycott of work because the government has provoked it. The teachers do not now have any patience anymore, and they will continue now to proceed to actualize the grand standoff.
Earlier in the day, the Supreme Court postponed a court session with the Teachers Service Commission.
Now, as the push and pull continues, the people at the center of it all are primary school students, secondary school students, who have now become collateral damage. Candidates like Vincent feel the effect of the teachers' strike even more, as they will be sitting for their national examinations in less than 2 months. Betty Kialo, KTN.
A serious standoff there. Teachers say they're not making their way back to class until they're paid. Government, through its Treasury CS, Henry Rotich, maintains it does not have enough money to pay teachers to implement that pay hike. It needs about 17 billion. And we are forming our big question based on that story by Betty Kelly. We are asking you, do you support the decision by Kenyan teachers to go on strike until they're paid? They've made it very clear that the strike officially begins today until and unless they see that money, they're not going back to class. So let us know what you think. Tweet me at Linda Ogutu. You can tweet us at KTN Kenya. I'll sample your views on whether or not you think teachers should go on strike until they are paid. Now, as teachers' desks in many classrooms in public schools remain empty, school children in Kakamega County decided to take advantage of a very unique opportunity. The National Library was open for more than 500 children who have been going there since yesterday. Dorcas Wangira tells us what they were doing there. Take a look.
Public libraries have always been a mainstay for adults and children alike, and they represent one's public right to acquire knowledge. And while school gates that should be open remain closed, the libraries, and this one in Kakamega, has been welcoming more than 500 school-going children. Many are candidates from Kakamega Primary School, Nabongo, Amalemba, Maraba, and Chief Mutsembi schools. Now that class has been dismissed with the ongoing teachers' strike, the children who are at home and others here in Kakamega will come to the library to read. Even in this conducive environment, there are rules. And the first rule in the morning hours is? Silence. Silence until the afternoon maybe. But nothing beats the classroom where the teacher remains the facilitator.
We are really affected with the strike. As teachers, we want them to go back to school.
I've just come to study at the library because at home there is a lot of noise and we are being affected.
But with the reading with the teacher so that we can understand the best things that we are not sure with. My friends are at home and others are in school. Mostly standard 7 and standard 8, but there is no any teacher inside the school.
David Juma is a librarian for the junior section. It's more manageable in the holidays, he says. The children need supervision and the resources are strained, but the strike has been unprecedented. Others come in the morning and leave in the afternoon, then another cycle begins. The children are desperate to learn, especially when it comes to e-learning, and the library still isn't a classroom.
The The number is actually overwhelming. The number is big. In fact, to contain it is very, very difficult. They come briefly, some come like 2 hours, 3 hours, some the whole day, but mostly come at around after 1 they leave.
The afternoon sessions are the most popular, a time for storytelling. Today, 14-year-old David Gashe and 14-year-old Faith Lunani, a candidate, are sharing their stories.
We like school more than library.
They tell us that a library is a place where they have found in books stories that teachers wouldn't tell them. With a full-blown strike declared, teachers' resolve remains, arguing that the government is stealing from the future if it doesn't pay them today.
The few teachers I talked to yesterday is like they are very firm that without cash they cannot come back, and there's nothing that can make them come back unless the government pays them.
When it's time to leave, there's a cloud of uncertainty that hangs above. Reading, they say, whether at home or in a library, doesn't equal an education. Dorcas Wangira, KTN News, Kakamega.
Children, they are desperate to learn, trying to fill that void left by their teachers. Now, another sad story from Kenya today is the fate of cancer patients who have been flocking the Kenyatta National Hospital for radiotherapy sessions. They found themselves in limbo after the radiotherapy machine broke down, creating a ripple effect which could be felt for the next 2 years. Here's the report.
When KTN visited the cancer unit at Kenyatta Hospital in February this year, at the radiotherapy section, we were met with a huge pile of files belonging to thousands of cancer patients from not just Kenya but across East and Central Africa. All of them in line to access radiotherapy services. And even more heartbreaking, the realization that only one radiotherapy machine is available to cater for the many patients. 7 months later, the already grave situation has worsened. The one radiotherapy machine and the only hope of patients who cannot afford treatment in private hospitals is no longer working.
Ilionyesha dalili ya kuonyesha kuna kitu haiendi sawa sawa. That shows an error. Hii error tukaangalia tukaona yaweza kuwa haipeani huduma ifaayo ama ipasavyo.
The equipment, which is designed to handle between 8 and 10 patients a day, catered to more than 120 patients in a day. Doctors being forced to work around the clock to salvage the situation. Kenyatta Hospital, the only public facility offering the services, receives patients from all the 47 counties in the country because of its highly subsidized charges. Here, patients are scheduled for radiotherapy services from now all the way to next year, and the sad truth is that some patients never make it to their appointment date.
Mashini moja kwa kupeana huduma kwa watu wao ni wengi sana. Kwa sababu wakati zilikuwa mbili, mashini moja ilikuwa inahudumia watu 70 ama 80, lakini kwa sasa inachukua jukumu ya kuhudumia watu wa mashini zile zilikuwa zinatumika zote mbili, lakini tangu ile ingine iharibike, hii inaonekana hii ni kuchoka.
But it is only the wearer who knows where the shoe pinches most. In this case, Mariam, who traveled all the way from Mombasa County after being diagnosed with cancer of the stomach last month. Mariam is a representation of cancer patients across Kenya. While radiotherapy services are highly subsidized, the challenge is in the availability of radiotherapy machines.
Na hata mashini zikiwa mbili, still wagonjwa wetu wale tulikuwa nao, wengi walikuwa tunawahudumia ama tunawafanya booking mpaka mwaka wa 2017. Hiyo ni kumaanisha hata tunahitaji more machines in the country ili tuweze kusaidia wagonjwa.
The government had promised to set aside 21 billion Kenya shillings for the increase in the capacity and improvement of cancer treatment infrastructure. But until something is done fast, cancer patients have been forced to cling to hope. hope that maybe tomorrow will bring with it better tidings. According to the World Health Organization, new cancer cases will rise by approximately 70% in the next 2 decades in middle and low-income countries. But in Kenya, majority of those patients could succumb if the situation is not addressed. Fatma Pole, KTN News.
Painful reality for cancer patients all over the country. Staying with health matters, those addicted to heroin and other hard drugs at the Kenyan coast are now complaining of painful withdrawal symptoms after the raids on drug dens began. They say it has become very hard to access the drugs as their suppliers are running scared.
Kusema ukweli, mimi kulingana na vile navyosikia kutoka hiyo juzi sijatumia, nilipokutana na huyo mkubwa wa Sekiriko, mimi ni kwa hali hatari sana.
Craving, no pain, excruciating pain, biting every nerve of his body and with every passing second, drenching his aching body with cold beads of sweat.
Ni ugonjwa. Naomba Wanakenya wote waelewe huu ni ugonjwa. Na sikutaka kwangu kuingia kwa huu ugonjwa mimi, na kila moja sikutaka kwake.
For over 2 decades, 37-year-old Peter Mutua has been using heroin, a drug which has for the past 1 week gone into an acute shortage across the coast region. The full-blown withdrawal effects of the drug hitting Mutua hard and reducing him to a feeble, sickly, unpleasant figure. He needs help.
Mwili unauma, vile navyosikia meno yanang'oka, na pia sina dawa hizo za ukimwi ziliisha, mpaka saa hii situmii. Kwa hivyo siwezi kwenda hospitali bila kustua kidogo, at least nipate nguvu ya kutembea.
Then help arrives in the form of this tuk-tuk, and the journey to get Mutua to a health center begins. The unfathomable pangs of pain biting Mutua along every stretch of the way, elongating what would otherwise have been a brief ride to the Diani Health Center.
Hata sijui nitatoka vipi, maana naitisha dawa sipati, naomba Kenya inisaidie.
It is the sad state of affairs across the coast region since President Uhuru Kenyatta declared war on drugs, drug addicts succumbing to withdrawal.
Serikali ielewe tu, inisaidie kunipa dawa tu. Naomba tu na Kenya mnisaidie.
Ninaomba serikali tusaidie, iangalie vile inaweza kutuokoa kwenye hili janga.
On Tuesday, President Uhuru Kenyatta majestically toured the Mombasa back streets, bringing home the message of his government's zero tolerance on hard drugs here.
I promise you, hii kazi mtakuwa mmemaliza ndani ya wiki moja.
Mnataka kwa Uhuru waelewe, hakuna maopia hapa Kenya. Hii ni kitu imeletwa tu kutumaliza sisi. Na sisi kwa sababu hatujui, tukitafuta pesa, tukimbilia tu kupata tu ile pain iishe. Lakini kumbe ndi ugonjwa. Sikujua kama ni ugonjwa, singeingia. Mimi nimetumia kitu miaka 25 saa hii. 25. Na sikujua mpaka saa hii nimezeeka, nina miaka.
Mutua and other recovering addicts at the coast say they are ready to quit using hard drugs, but they say they need medical attention, assistance which they can only get from the relevant government departments. Muremi Mwangi, KTN News, Nairobi.
Mutua, they are struggling with withdrawal symptoms. I remember that day that President Uhuru Kenyatta gave that order. There's a doctor who tweeted me and he said drug addiction is a disease. Even as we focus on the barons, let's look for ways of rehabilitating some of these addicts. Let's see how that goes in the coming days. Well, let's remind you of a big question tonight. The Kenya National Union of Teachers has officially called for a strike and asked parents to keep their children at home. So tonight, we're asking you if you support the decision by Kenyan teachers to go on strike until they are paid. Ingonyi says, this is a negotiated increment. Government reneged, went to court and lost. There is no other way than pay up. Frederick Okango says teachers have a right to be paid, but not to punish their students. Let them strike a balance with the government. Finally, Kirui John says a big yes. Paying teachers should not be painful when the government of Kenya is bailing out pilfered and mismanaged entities. Those are just some of your opinions on our big question tonight. Whether or not you support that decision by teachers to go on strike until they're paid. You're watching KTN Prime. We thank you for staying with us. We're taking a short break. We'll be back. Welcome back. Thank you for staying with KTN Prime. Top officials of the East Africa Sub-Saharan Safe Promotion International Foundation have been arrested and handed over to Criminal Investigation Department. The NGO Coordination Board legal team has confirmed that the foundation is not registered, thus making its operations illegal. The 4 officials who were arrested refused to talk to journalists and the police whisked them away. The organization is claimed to be collecting money from people under the guise of offering them jobs. Earlier, some inconsistencies had emerged in the ongoing recruitment of over 20,000 people. The NGO team accused the organization of hoodwinking the public. The Nyeri County government has threatened to sack striking health workers if they do not report back to work by tomorrow. But in a quick rejoinder, the nurses union told off the Nyeri governor, telling him he had no power to fire them.
The Nyeri County government now wants defiant nurses who are occupying government houses in Nyeri County to vacate them immediately, following a series of strikes by health workers in the county. The county government has resolved to stop salaries of the nurses by issuing them show cause letter, which requires them to explain why they should not be sacked for deserting duty.
It is the height of arrogance and impudence for the nurses to blatantly disrespect the court order, as they themselves would also resort to the same courts for any reprieve on matters of their own interest. Respect to the rule of law, as enshrined in our constitution, and fidelity to our judicial system is fundamental to any lawful engagement.
But in a quick rejoinder, the nurses union told off the Nyeri governor, telling him he had no power to sack them.
You and I know that the county government of Nyeri is one of the counties that has not employed even a single health worker. If it had employed one, I'll be worried that they can sack that one. But these are employees of who? The Public Service Commission. Those are the letters we have. The
Nyeri County chief considered delaying the payment of nurses' salaries, but he was quick to add that it was beyond the control of the county government.
The county government will proceed immediately to advertise for the positions now left vacant by the staff who have already severed their services with the county government of Nyeri.
They must come to reality that these are not their employees, and they cannot sack them.
Elsewhere in Meru County, the nurses' strike entered its second day, with workers holding peaceful demos within Meru town as a way of voicing their concerns. Joined by their leaders, they threatened to go to court if the county government does not respond to their demands. They cited issues such as promotions, allowances, salary annual increments, and alleged intimidation from the county government as their major concerns.
The Minister for Health, for any wrongdoing, is the health sector. Yes. The buck stops with you. You can't run away from your responsibility.
Health workers tuna shida. Wanataka hata education ikuwe devolved. Vile wanatenda kwa health workers, watawezana na walimu kweli?
The health workers have vowed not to go back to work until their grievances have been addressed.
Well, they say growing old is God's favor. The second president of Kenya, Daniel Arap Moi, celebrated his 91st birthday today at the Kabarak University grounds in Nakuru County. Speaking during the celebrations attended by officials from the Kabarak community, Moi expressed his gratitude to God for the strength and the many years he has lived to see his 91st birthday. Moi said Kenyans should be firm in their faith in God, as that is the only way to live a positive life.
We thank Jehovah God who has given you life for over 9 decades.
Congratulations
as we admire that card.
The gifts he has given to me, in many ways, I thank him. And I want to wish you present here the same long life, and also to be steadfastly have faith in God. Your faith will carry you along a better route if you let Jesus guide you. With those few remarks, I thank God, and I say thank you, God, for giving me up to my present age. Thank you.
A very happy birthday to former President Daniel Arap Moi. You're watching KTN Prime. We are taking a short break, and when we get back, Joy Doreen Bira will have the day's business news.
Welcome and glad you are keeping it KTN News. Let's now take a look at business. I'm Joy Doreen Bira. Kenyans could be looking ahead to better days as the government reins in on high maize flour prices. The Ministry of Agriculture says it has released 800,000 tons of maize from its strategic reserves to stock supply in the market and restore price stability on Kenya's staple food. KTN's Abiagina has more.
The rising population that is fast approaching the 50 million mark has put increased pressure on agricultural land and output, and also stretched the government's efforts to provide adequate food to the population. According to the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, prices of Kenya's staple food, maize, has risen to a 13-month high owing to dwindling supply in the last few months. The rising prices have forced the already burdened Kenyans to dig even deeper to afford the most basic of food commodities. And this has now triggered the government into action.
The reality is millers are buying maize at an average price of 2,900 or 3,000 thereabouts, and that is what is reflecting in the price of maize flour.
The state says it has released 800,000 tons of maize to bridge the huge supply deficit. A 90-kilogram bag will retail at 2,300 shillings, a 600 shillings discount from the current market price of 2,800.
With the price that we have given, we expect that price to come below 100. And that we want to see even go further down as we get much more supply of maize from the harvest. But once the harvest comes through, we should be able to see that price slide much faster than we have seen before.
With the injection, Aden is projecting that the prices will fall by between 14 to 20 shillings, bringing relief to millions of households as well as dairy farmers who rely on maize to feed their animals.
We want to see the price of maize flour come down.
The move could be a boon to farmers as it frees up space at the National Cereals and Produce Board ahead of the October harvests.
We are in the process of handing over 13 grain storage facilities, particularly in the maize farming areas. They are coming accompanied by 36 dryers.
So far, NCPB says its silos are filled to capacity. As of September, the country has maize stocks of 14.6 million bags, with farmers holding on to 6.7 million, traders 2.35 million, and millers and the NCPB holding the remaining 5.1 million bags. Abiagina, KTN Business.
The cost of cigarettes will fall if recent amendments passed by Parliament are assented to by the President. The amendments to the Excise Duty Bill 2015 now state that taxation be based on brand rather than uniform taxation. The amendments introduce an excise tax of between 900 and 2,800 shillings per 1,000 sticks of cigarettes, depending on quality, a move that will favor cheaper cigarettes. The Excise Duty Bill 2015 had proposed that tobacco products be charged a flat duty of 2,500 shillings per 1,000 sticks. Parliament's amendment of the Excise Duty Bill 2015 has in effect made it difficult to tax cigarettes, a move that is being hotly contested by various lobby groups. According to the International Institute for Legislative Affairs, Vincent Kimosop, the move would hurt the war against drug abuse as more people will now be able to buy cigarettes. Kimosop says this will be lobbying the President to reject amendments.
Collecting at 1,500 effective rate. Remember, they are given projections by the Ministry of Finance. So what is going to happen if you check in the next quarter, if the President assents to this law, what is going to happen? In the next quarter, I can bet KRA is going to miss its targets. So one thing that KRA is already saying is that they are already concerned. Yesterday I was at the Ministry of Finance, the department responsible for tax policy, and they are also concerned. Because when Rotich was presenting his budget statement in June, it was based on tax projections, and one of them is excise coming from tobacco products. So midway, if you have that being, if you have that reduction, and you can talk about other things from teachers or from, and even KRA just barely made it to the trillion mark. That is in the last report. So this will be affected.
The rise of Kenya's middle class changing consumer lifestyles, particularly in the foods and beverages sectors. One of the subsectors that is experiencing booming growth owing to the rising purchasing power of individuals is the baked confectioneries industry, especially the cake business. On The Adventurer this week, KTN's Charles Gitonga brings us the story of Alice Simba, the lady who transformed her love for baking into multi-million cake business in just 7 years.
Welcome to The Adventurer, and there's that one type of food that more often than not denotes celebration. I'm talking about cake. This week we are going to learn what it takes to run a successful cake business. Our entrepreneur is Ali Simba, who started Black Forest House 7 years ago.
What we do at Black Forest House, we are in the baked confectionery. So here we do cake, cookies, pies, and then we also do cakes for all occasions, weddings, birthdays, corporate cakes, anniversary cakes. Yeah. For me, it started all as a passion. And I think I've said this before, at home we always used to sit with our family to make cake. So that came on, and when I grew up, I thought like, anywhere I walk around, I just want to have a good cake. So I decided to develop the concept because I knew there were other people like me in the market who are looking for something that is really nice, fresh, traditionally made. You know, like mom's recipe. I always say that. So yes, I know businesses, sometimes you have a challenge setting up a business, but for me, I started from where I was with 500 shillings. What I learned also at that time is about, again, as I said, starting from where you are. So for me, it was 500 shillings, crossing the road, going to a kiosk, buying my ingredients, making it without an oven or anything electrical. I used to use my hands and charcoal, and that's how it was. Then cut the cake in small pieces and sell it at 50 shillings. I remember that, a slice at 50 shillings, and this was like the year 2008. And the other thing that I discovered that brought me to where I am today is the secret of banking. Establishing a good relationship with the bank and be committed, you understand, on your banking. So anytime you want a facility, they are there for you. So number one for me, you have to have the passion, you have to have that drive, because it's only you who can see, who has the vision. Okay? So that's one for me. You need to be a good leader. You need to be a team player. I'll tell you why. See, right now I'm talking to you. This is not the only cake we are doing. There's so many other cakes. But how is the team? Do they know what they're doing? Have we empowered them to do it so that when you're not there or you're walking out or I'm going to meet another client, are your people able to work together? Do they understand the vision of the business? That is so important. Okay, I'm putting my mixture there. So this is enough for, I know, about 2 blocks from experience. Okay. Hey, Charles. Leo utakula cake inakwambia. So you see, it's about half. So 600 grams of flour giving you like about, I know this cake after it's baked, it's about 800 grams. Yeah. There we go. So there we go. Okay, I think the cake business, which is under the baked confectionery business, it's a very good business, very lucrative. Okay, we have many players. There are those who are so established. There are those who have been known for a long while. There are those who are coming. And of course, there are those who are doing it from the house and maybe don't want to really come out. There are those who are in the house, they're doing it. But there are those who are still trying from the house, kidogo kidogo. So for me, I think it's very lucrative.
So the story of Alice is that she wanted to eat a certain kind of cake, but she could not find it in the stores, and therefore she started her own business. The saying goes that if you'd like to read a certain book and it's not there in the shelves, then go ahead and write it. Charles Gitonga for The Adventurer.
Charles just had to munch on that cake. Thank you so much, Charles Gitonga, for this week's adventure. And now, of course, business is not done without looking at our financial markets. And so, as I go, I would like to leave you with the financial markets report. And by the way, today among the top gainers was Umeme, which is the equivalent of Kenya Power here, but that is in Uganda. Umeme Limited made it among the top gainers, as well as Standard Group made it among the top gainers. But let's take a look at how the Kenya shilling did perform today. It seemed to have stuck at the same position it was yesterday, or at the same amount it traded at yesterday. But let's take a look at how it fared against other currencies and also other listed companies at the NSE.
In Prime, let's take a look at sports now. Sept village in Uasin Gishu County came to a standstill as family and friends gathered to welcome home world 400 meters hurdles champion Nicholas Bett back from Beijing. Sept village is not near to glory, with three-time world champion Asbel Kiprop hailing from the same village. Bett's victory has, however, fueled more excitement, with Sept village priding itself with producing the first ever Kenyan gold medalist in a race below 800 meters. Bett emerged the 400 meters hurdles champion, while his twin brother Heron Koech got to the semis. Kenyan athletes, among them 2007 world champion Janet Jepkosgei, were among those celebrating Beth's achievements. A very happy village, I must say. Kenya's record goal scorer Dennis Oliech and Belgian-based midfielder Johanna Omolo Ayub Time, Jacob Kelly and instrumental David Kalibo Owino are among the foreign-based players who have linked up with Harambee Stars ahead of their home tie against 2012 AFCON champion Zambia on Sunday. The Kenyan team has only had 3 days of training, and as Moses Wahisi now reports, the Stars believe they will secure a victory against Zambia.
It is all system go as Harambee Stars sharpen their arsenal in readiness to host Zambia, the 2012 AFCON champions, on Sunday in their second Group E Africa Cup of Nations qualifier at Nyayo National Stadium. Mandela! For 3 days, the Stars have been working towards making it to the Africa extravaganza that they last featured in 2004. And as expected, it will not be an easy affair for Team Kenya.
Watu wako set, morali iko. Game kwa kweli nye game itakuwa rahisi, timu inaenda kucheza nao, timu wako fit, wameprepare well. Na hope vitu zitaenda right game day.
So I said Zambia might have an advantage on us because I don't think a lot of their players are playing outside Zambia, so they can get together more often than we can, and that's just the situation we find ourselves in. We've just got to do our best.
David Owino, Jacob Kelly, Ayub Timbe, Brian Mandela, David Chieng, Lawrence Olum, Johanna Omolo, Alan Wanga, Brian Mandela and experienced Dennis Oliech are part of some of the professional players in the Stars training camp. After Kenya drew 1-1 away to Congo-Brazzaville, while Chipolopolo were held at home to a barren stalemate by Guinea-Bissau, Group E remains open to all.
They won the African Cup, so that's already a warning. But I trust on our team, and I think we just have to give 100% and just go for the 3 points.
Najua tutaangusha this time round. Tutashinda, inshallah.
A win for Stars will put them in charge of Group E in the bid to qualify for Gabon finals for the first time since 2004. For a number of years now, Harambee Stars has failed to sparkle in an international outing. And as of today, it is only 3 days in training, and this side is getting ready to take a team that has been on the training camp for almost 2 months now, and that is Chipolopolo from Zambia. And the big question begs, will Harambee Stars merge up, and who is past the 2012 African champions? Moses Wahisi, KTN Sports.
A mini World Athletics Championship is expected in Zurich when 20 world champions from Beijing converge for the 13th and second last leg of the Diamond League Series on Thursday. 5 Kenyan world champions will be among the participants, hoping to extend their good results from Beijing.
With more team do.
So on a big question tonight, we asked you if you support the teachers' decision to stay away from class and go on strike until they are paid. Let's see if we can sample some of your views. Wekesa Obonyo says, not because the strike would give them money, but it will create more problems for the government, parents and students. Brenna Tracy says, teachers should be paid. Sisi watoto wa teachers tunasafa, tumechoka kufukuzwa school fees. Cedric Masira says, yes, I'm a teacher and I need the money before I step in class. The teachers are the pillars of the economy. Augustine Juma says, yes, why not? Suffering 17 years in the hand of 3 regimes is like a death sentence which is not coming. Edgar Yatich, the government should pay teachers. As a leading democracy, they should respect the decision of the courts and separation of powers. Finally, Quinta Carroll says, I support the strike full force. Were it for the MPs, their money would have been availed. Those are just some of your feedback on our big question tonight, whether or not you think you support the decision by Kenyan teachers to go on strike until they are paid. And that is where we leave KTN Prime. We thank you so much for watching. I'm Linda Ogutu.